Gonna be number 238.
To number 238.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the motion before the board is
To approve Rule 238, which states it's the responsibility of the builder or the homeowner to ensure that a mailbox is installed for a new home prior to obtaining the Putnam County occupancy permit.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Yes. That's our first vote on that. We'll have another vote next month. I don't see that.
And that is all I have for A&E.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, campground. Richard Stevens not here. Okay. Cleanup.
As
Tom.
as a liaison for the cleanup committee, I've been giving the following report. First item is the monthly meeting is this Wednesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. Second item is our trash pickup day is Saturday, April 17th, 9 a.m. meeting at the maintenance building. What that is that the cleanup committee will select the location around Heritage Lake. The cleanup committee will be given yellow plastic bags and will walk the road and pick up the trash. So any volunteers who want to help the cleanup committee pick up trash around a road or roads in Heritage Lake, please meet at the maintenance building Saturday, April 17th, 9 a.m. And please wear gloves or bring gloves.
That's this coming Saturday, yes?
If this coming Saturday is the 17th, that is correct. Next item, spring yard sales will be April 29th through May 1st. And the last item, mark your calendars, clean sweep / Tox Away Day is Saturday, May 8th. Further details will follow in the highlights. That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, government committee, Dick Werner.
Reporting on the meeting for March. County Commissioners meeting on the 15th of March. There was an airport board appointment on the docket, but due to the absence of Commissioner Rick Woodall, the appointment was postponed until next meeting. I don't have a follow-up on the meeting that occurred on the 5th because I was unable to attend due to personal reasons. Ken, do you recall? The Health Department Administrator Jody Young made formal introduction to the commissioners of the newly appointed County Health Officer, Dr. Adam Amos. Dr. Amos offered a brief statement about the county COVID situation. This is as of the March 15th, 3,390 cases and 60 deaths in the county. Numbers declining, but masking and social distancing still recommended. County government continues to mandate masks and distancing within government facilities. The 6 new dump trucks were finally delivered to the Highway Department the week of March 8th. And as they outfit those, they will sell the used trucks. Announcement of approval of grant money for People's Pathways to purchase land at east edge of the county to complete the extension of the National Heritage Trail into Hendricks County. Now to the County Council meeting the following day on March 16th. Again, the Health Department appeared to request approval for the second county nurse position. Commissioner Woodall also appeared to reinforce this appeal, recommending to fund this position for 2021 with remaining CARES Act funds, as the position is not budgeted. And the edit funds and or rainy day fund. This salary would be incorporated into the health department budget for future years. And furthermore, it was recommended to approve a pay increase to $50,000 for nurse one, the existing experience, Sarah Butler, and $47,000 for the new nurse two position. The council approved this unanimously. Sheriff Stockton appeared to request a fair rank pay differential between sergeant and corporal. It was approved. The new differential is now $1,000 a year. Additional funding approvals were voted in for EMA 911 and continued funding for the EMS headquarters vehicle. Previously approved funds for EMS additional was approved for disbursement at this meeting. Commissioner Woodall also announced that discussions are underway with the Highway Department to create a highway plan per county district. There are 3 districts in the county, and this falls into District 1, represented by Commissioner Dave Barrett. More to come as this develops. Hopefully, if we have highway department issues in the future, we can lean on Commissioner Barrett a little more than we have. Commissioner Woodall also recommended county officials consider developing a county park board in order to be eligible for DNR grants, which would not cost the county. So, grants are available. We don't have a park board. We're not eligible. Here's by the county. So, I'm sure there'll be more on that. I've been at the CCCD meeting on the 18th of March. It was reported that manhole inspections were resuming now that the ground is no longer too dry to reveal intrusions into the sewer system. Previous inspections did reveal damages that allowed groundwater to intrude into the sewer system, and more are expected to be found. This is one part of the action to a solution to prior plant overflow overages. CCCD board is considering how to deal with danger trees on the conservancy-owned lots here in the community, which are mostly dead ash trees. And it was reported that account locations are reported at 1,519. That's up from 1,438 or 81 homes in about the same time frame last year. They also reported that Conservancy also reported increasing number of late payments and late payment penalty fees assessed, primarily due to post office delays. There were 4 appeals at that meeting for waiving late fees, and the board did grant those waivers as they were evidenced by postmark revealing postal service being in the culprit. There was discussion to prohibit parking on emergency spillway areas, as has occurred at previous fireworks events. Imminent details were not provided. And just lastly, government committee changes that we are going to implement. As Nina Stebbins is the newly appointed board liaison. The date time change for the government committee is under consideration. We've just agreed to change it to Wednesdays, third Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. It had been on the fourth Thursday at 10 a.m. And lastly, government committee reporting. I intend to begin reporting on Heritage Lake social media per meeting occurrence. Because it occurred to me that there's several times when I have done that, when I realized waiting till the next board meeting to report everything would cause a missed date for some people who might apply. So each meeting, probably within 24 hours, I will post a report. And then I'll also continue to do this compilation of the meetings at the monthly board meetings. That's it.
Thank you. Tom?
Go ahead. Just a question, I happened to read the graphics and I was wondering if we know anything about it. The company that has been installing these large metal utility poles, according to the newspaper article, they did do road damage in the area that they were being installed, and that they will pay for or compensate for the repair of that. I was wondering, would you have any idea if any of this road damage was in our area?
I read the same article, I wasn't at the meeting again to hear it firsthand, so I'm relying on Jerry and his reporting in the banner. But the roads that were reported to be covered don't fall in our community. 900 north, 1,000 north. And the one that I noticed damage on is 450 when you're leaving the east side of the lake. That's where they came in. They went down behind those homes that are in the lake property on Heritage Drive, right adjacent to that intersection. So, 51. That's as much as I know. I will inquire about why not 300 and that 300 goes on, or 450 as it goes on into the community.
Yeah, if you could do that, just let us know how, because it sounds like the company is gonna pay for this, so
Yeah.
if they did damage in our area, maybe we'll get some free road repair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Okay, Lake Committee, no one is here to report for the Lake Committee. The only thing I'd like to probably establish, I know they're gonna have a meeting this month. Does anybody know what?
Fourth Wednesday, I believe they said.
The fourth Wednesday?
That's what I thought they said.
Is that the 24th, maybe?
28th.
28th.
Now, I'm not sure about that. That's,
Their meeting is on the 28th.
It is?
and
Yes.
Thank you. So the Lake Committee's meeting is on the 28th. Anybody interested in what the Lake Committee is doing, that might be a good meeting to go to. There's gonna be a lot of questions about, up till now, they've had a lot of questions about different things. Obviously, their committee has been very busy with the rule book. At that committee meeting, there will be, editors present that have read the rule book as it was printed, and there have been some mistakes that have been found in that rule book. They're mainly grammatical or untitled, as I've been told. For instance, the word watercraft is used for all watercraft, meaning non-motorized and motorized. Therefore, some of the rules that pertain to motorized craft do not also pertain to non-motorized craft. I don't believe that, and that's an example. So those things are going to be discussed. Also, what's going to be discussed, I think, at least minimally, are some of the ideas that have come up with the committee that was formed to start brainstorming the celebration / grand opening / 50-year anniversary type thing. So Lake Committee, obviously few of those people from the Lake Committee are on that subcommittee, but also because this is all pertaining obviously to that committee more than any other committee. It's an important facet for them to be involved with. That's it on Lake Committee, unless anybody has a question. Okay?
Who's the board liaison for the Lake Committee?
me,
You are?
I didn't get to the last meeting because I wasn't here.
So no one's reporting it to you either?
No.
I
seen-
clarified that with Joe Manetta when you brought it up at the operations meeting about clarification between who's gonna do the presentation of our committee.
Right, as I stated, good point, as I stated in the operations meeting, from operations meeting on, we'd like to have clarification from all of the liaisons on who's gonna be reporting at the board meeting, so that we know going into the board meeting who's gonna be giving reports. So that, I feel like sometimes you go to the board meeting and all of a sudden, if one person can't make it, we don't hear any reports. And so,
I know Dave is here, because I talked to him at the
I would just suggest to all the board members, including myself, that at the ops meeting from now on, we all know what's gonna happen to the board meeting, so we can record that. This way, if, you know somebody's coming, you'll have that report.
I was notified this evening for the cleanup committee, so I don't know if that's,
Oh, that's cool.
I guess it's a good goal, but it doesn't seem very realistic to be able
I see
to
what you're saying.
identify for the ops meeting, which is, what's that, 4 weeks, 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Well, let's see how it works out. Doesn't work out, by God, I'll have blood on my face again. All right. Next, we have clean water. Phil McKinley, I know he's here.
Right here. Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. This is not one of the years that we do one of the major lake and fish studies. We do that recommend doing that on a rotating basis. We're fairly, have one fairly recently on that regard. We will be doing many of the other things that we do each year. Right now, at this time of the year, we put articles into the highlights, particularly with reminders of best practices concerning lawn care and things like that that would not have negative influences on the lake. So that's kind of what we're working on at this time of the year.
Thanks,
That's it.
Phil. Long range planning.
I'm gonna take that one.
Okay.
We will be meeting on April 20th, which is a Tuesday, at 5:30 with pizza. So come on out. No kids allowed, which is even better.
Where do you meet at?
Here, come, enjoy some pizza, get away from kids, and just talk about.
Beer?
Here.
Beer?
I
Not
don't-
here, beer?
I
You
know
bring
it.
it.
Yeah,
BYOB.
that's right. So I think, so we have 5 people
Oh,
that
good,
will be here, so.
good, very nice.
Yes.
That's refreshing, huh? All right, siltation, Dwayne Kelly is here.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. Paul, I'd like to jump off just a minute. In the past, Conservancy has been on the agenda. It's not tonight. But I got a couple of things I'd like to say for Conservancy before I go to siltation.
Go ahead, thank you.
I want to elaborate, the lots that the,
I'm new at this, Dwayne,
pardon?
I'm new at this.
Oh, no problem at all. I'm not bashful.
Please, George, you are.
The Conservancy has, as maybe not everybody here knows, owns 138 lots here at the lake. One lot that we own has a lift station on it. So that was clear out of the ballpark. With 137 lots, when we chose to stop being in the real estate business and selling lots to try to cut down on some of the building going on out here, we had 137 lots that, as long as we kept them, nobody could build on. We made a agreement with the board that the board would have control of those 137 lots. We still maintain ownership, but the board could use them in any way that they saw fit.
Except for selling them.
Except selling them, yeah. We have had, this, in the past few months, we have had some people that have come to us and said, you own an empty lot beside me, I wanna buy it. With the same thought in mind, the conservative board discussed it. And our discussion was, if we did it, we were gonna do a title lock on that lot, that it could never be, it had to be, titled with the lot that the person owned and could never be sold off. It always went with the house, so that nobody could ever build, somebody could build a garage on it, the people who owned the house could build a garage on it, but it could never be another house built on it. This is mainly for, in case the board member gets a question, mainly the office staff. If somebody comes in and says, hey, there's an empty lot beside me, who owns it? What can I buy it? The Conservancy has decided that none of those lots will be on the market. When we decided to get out of the real estate business, we sent a notice to every adjoining lot owner, asking them if anybody was interested in buying them. That at that time we would sell them to the adjoining lot owner. And I understand that now there's people living in some of those houses that didn't live in that house when we sent those letters out. But the board, the conservative board, has decided that those 137 lots, as far as this board is concerned, will not be for sale. So if anybody asks you, that you can give them the answer that that's what the Conservancy board decided.
Okay, so pertaining to this particular subject, I think that there probably should be a meeting. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I think there probably should be a meeting between somebody from your board, preferably you, and maybe Ken and myself, to come up with what we need to do to protect ourselves in the future. Is there anything in writing about these particular lots, or is this a handshake agreement?
There's the,
I mean, as far as between the board
and the Conservancy?
They're under the same operating agreement that we have for the lake.
Okay, okay,
They were added on to the Conservatives had this agreement with the POA board that we own the lake.
well, under, the reason I wanted to have the conversation, and maybe it's not a conversation for the board meeting, is because if that's the agreement you have with the board, then if you treat those lots the same as you treat the lake, then how can you go to the guy next door and say, yeah, we'll go ahead and give you that property as long as you put it on your deed? I mean, you can't do that with the lake. We're managing the lake. So you see what I'm saying?
We chose not to do that. We're not going to sell
They're
it.
gonna-
Oh, okay.
they're gonna
Okay.
sell it.
Not gonna allow any sales.
You're not gonna do that with the people.
We're not going to.
Okay.
At this
I'm
point,
sorry, I
this board,
misunderstood.
the board is here now, like you guys, our board changes, like this, our Conservative board right now has voted, has it in our minutes, that we will not relinquish any of those 137 lots to an adjoining property owner or anybody else.
Okay. Thank you.
just to add a little sidelight, you asked, is there an agreement? The answer is yes. There was an agreement generated as a, I guess you could call it an addendum to the agreement that Dwayne was speaking about. If the office doesn't have a copy, I'm sure the Conservancy could provide the office with a copy.
Okay, we'll check that out. We'll let you know if we can get a copy of that.
There's a lease in the binder.
A 99-year lease.
It's a lake lease. Yeah.
For those lots?
For the lake.
For the
There's
lake,
nothing,
yes.
at least in those, for the lease that is currently in the binder,
For
there's
the lake.
nothing about
Lots, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll look it up, see if we're interested, and that'd That'd be a good piece of paper to put in with the, lake lease. Okay, thanks.
I think, if I could add one thing. At some point in time, the board probably needs to talk about the responsibility of the trees. That's probably my biggest concern. It's your property, you do what you want with it, but I don't think it's right for the POA to have to pay to have some of these large trees, dead trees, the ash trees, that people are coming to us because they're either calling Clear Creek, and Clear Creek has been telling them that the POA is responsible for maintaining the lots. You know, I've got a lot of callers right now that's wanting us to take some trees down because they're dead, and some of them are in jeopardy of falling on their home. So if they fall on their home, it falls under a lack of maintenance for the home, for the property owner. I think we just need to kind of dive into that and figure out who's responsible for that, who needs to pay to have these trees cut down. I just think at some point in time, the more money we would spend on doing that, the first few of them I did, or we cut it down ourselves, but then it started kind of ramping up, and we got some monster trees out there, especially over in Victory Hill, I think, that some people just want to take down 3 huge trees.
The ash board.
Yeah, if I feel comfortable dropping them, we'll drop them. But if they're close to our house, I'm not even coming close to taking that risk.
I would tell you that the Conservative has discussed that. So we have not made any decision at this point in time, but we have discussed that situation. And we have a meeting Thursday morning, and it will be brought up again Thursday morning.
I'll try to be there Thursday. I'll try to be there Thursday.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else?
Okay, we can
I'll
switch
go back
hats
to
now.
my original siltation report, how's that? Everybody's probably tired of hearing me talk by now anyway. Our project that are underway is, the East Fork, which is from the edge of the lake up to the dam. Shannon's got the big long reach excavator setting over there, so he can get up in that cove with the small barge. We gave him that project. Shannon called me and said he needed to do something because that small barge has an outboard motor on it. And he said it just sucks the gas up trying to take a load of silt down the south end of the lake, come back empty. He said the fuel costs were just killing him. He asked me if I thought they could put a little road in at the common ground where the excavator's sitting. So he could use his long reach, empty the little barge, put it in trucks from there, and then take it down, which would save him on fuel costs. He also told me at the time that it would probably save the siltation committee about $3 a cubic yard if he did it that way. I told him I had no problem with it. He'd have to talk to Ken because it's POA common ground. I don't have any control over it. I guess he talked to Ken because the next thing I saw there was a road in. There was a road in there. When he asked me about it, I told him also there was another advantage to that road, but we talked about the expense of putting the road in, the expense of taking the road out. He said, well, what if we left it in? And I said, well, there's 2 advantages there. If we ever clean out again and need the long reach in there, the road's already there. Also, there's a dry hydrant in the edge of the lake right there, so that gives the fire department a place to back in and fill their tankers if they want to, by having the road there. So that's why the excavator's sitting there, that's why the road's there. I don't know how far he's along with that project, I haven't talked to him. I give him a project that the committee's decided they want done, and the next thing I know about it, I see the bill. Unless he runs into some kind of a problem, but I never know how far along he is on a project.
He was working on Friday.
Pardon?
He was working on Friday
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, well, also, last winter, there are 23 pieces of property along that canal, or feeder stream. We had the office staff send a letter to each one of those 23 property owners, telling them that our contractor was gonna be in there this spring, cleaning out the body. The siltation committee has a rule that we will not clean out within 10 feet of anybody's dock, boat lift, slip, or we don't want to be responsible if a boat lift falls in because they got undercut. We sent that letter out to those 23 property owners, which if any of them respond and have it done, it's a benefit to the siltation committee, to the lake, because the more that comes out of there, the longer it'll be before it fills back up again, whether it be in the main body of that feeder stream or around people's docks and so forth. So everybody that cleans out over there helps the lake and the siltation committee both. I have no idea. On the letter, I gave them Shannon's phone number, I gave them Ken's phone number, I gave them my phone number, if anybody had any questions, to call one of those three numbers to get the answer. I didn't get any calls. I know Shannon did, because he told me quite a few of them had contacted him. I don't know how many. I didn't even ask him how many. Anyway, that's the project there. With that project, and why the excavator may still be sitting there, the other project that we asked him to do was in that area at the end of the East Fork, and that feeder stream, not all the water, not all the silt settles out in the silt pond. When we get a big rain, it overshoots the dam. Not all of it settles out in that stream. It comes down into the corner of the lake and starts building up a delta there where the water slows down and it does settle out there. That's the second project that he's working on for the siltation committee at this point in time. So, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Our next siltation meeting is April the 22nd at 7 o'clock. Here at the clubhouse, are the committees still meeting downstairs?
We could probably open them up to have them up here.
But I just want to know, because when I sent out my notification for the meeting last time, I put on there that it was, we'd be meeting downstairs, just so everybody would.
How many people would be coming,
Well,
in your estimation?
probably as many as 8. I mean, unless we have a number of property owners that show up, which, we've, maybe twice a year, we'll have a property owner show up with a question. I don't know, ever do that.
Well, I'd say if your members are comfortable with it, you can spread out here. That's fine.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Okay, HLEPT, Paul Forbes. All right, I met with John and Darcy last week, and we discussed the possibility or the probability of either that particular committee being umbrellaed by one of two committees, that being the long-term planning or the neighborhood watch. theory behind Neighborhood Watch, as Tom Novak brought up, which is a good input, that they're already established, they have each community has representatives, and there's one person that talks to those representatives, therefore that might be a good fit. I think with the long-term planning committee meeting, in its first meeting with their new members, that's gonna be a good correlation with what we've discussed with the prior, members of that particular subcommittee, the HLEPT committee. That's the emergency response situation. I'm sure everybody here is aware of that. We've discussed in that meeting that the phones we have will not be compatible with the phone system and computer system we have now. Therefore, those phones are obsolete. They won't be appropriate. So in order to get to a point where we have phones in this particular building, we're gonna have to buy new phones. I think after the discussions are with the long-term planning and with again, another meeting with Darcy and John, we'll probably establish what we think might be a need for now. There may be other ways to communicate with the community that are more applicable, since we have these new systems and we have, and I think we're probably going to have discussions with Rick Miller about that also. I haven't suggested it to Rick yet, but to try and figure out the best way, if something disastrous happens, how quickly can we get it out? Those discussions are being, those opinions are being discussed right now. There, and just so you know, along with those, we're trying to establish a way so that no matter what happens out here, we might be able to get a faster way to get to all the individuals at the lake, just like the schools do, and just like other municipalities do. We are looking into those right now. It would be wonderful if everybody got a text to tell them that there's a red flag on the lake, and the lake is closed. It'd be wonderful if everybody got a text to tell them that it's yellow and it's idle only. And it would be wonderful if everybody got a text saying there's a road on the other side of the lake that is closed for the entire day, so you don't have to go all the way around again. So those are the things we're working on. I have assured the past members and April, who is in charge of the neighborhood, that I wouldn't let this drop, and we'll put our attention on this along with other things that we're working on. Any questions about that? Okay. Thank you, Paul Ford. All right, election committee. Jim Muhlenbein's not here. I'm the liaison. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am the liaison. There's nothing to report. Okay.
That's what he took. All right.
Ken Rosen.
Well, I'd like to start out with some great news. Last month, the office was able to collect on a member's account that hasn't paid their assessment in quite some time. The amount of $7,605.26 was collected for one individual without any pay towards an attorney. These are just a few things that are done behind the scenes that I feel are part of our job. In case you haven't noticed, we are relocating the volleyball courts between the beach and the shelter. The plan is to turn the old court into a staging area for concerts to perform. We are hoping to have this completed on or before May 14th. This project, including the cost of the concrete, is being paid for by the Heritage Lake Concert Series. The first lake treatment will be May 11th. The treatments will take place every 2 weeks after that, and the dates will be posted in the highlight. Also, I'm aware that the buoys definitely need to be adjusted. Our maintenance pontoon was in need of some figured. It should be completed by this Wednesday. As soon as that's done, I'll be out on the water and we'll get them adjusted and put back into place. Finally, I'd really like to thank everybody for doing what we have asked them to do, and that was to get a jump on taking the voting test ahead of time. This has been very smooth so far. As of Friday, Rick had reported there was 1,128 tests taken. This test is to force you to read and understand the rules. This test is not just to pass and let you get your vote stickers. I kind of feel like that some people are taking that mentality. Just last week, I issued two level one, no, this was just last week. I issued 2 level 1 violations and 1 level 2 violation. One of them was on the water, having another non-member and a non-registered boat on the water. They just thought it was okay to bring a boat from a buddy and go out and go fishing. Another one was a fishing boat that pulled right out of the marina on a nice rainy morning and went out and turned left and went right up the wrong direction on the wrong side of the lake. The other one was Friday night, remember allowing a non-resident driving his fishing boat at excessive speed at night. This stuff don't stop. This will be a very expensive summer for some. They don't get a grip on what the rules are. So that's all I have, and those fines aren't that's $650 in just 3 people. So it's just the nice thing about it is all 3 of them have been very cooperative, very cordial, very polite. They give me a hard time. The only one that remotely did was Friday night, about 1 o'clock in the morning. They were the only vehicle out in the parking lot, and I got on my PA system, and they were out in the middle of the water. And I hope I didn't wake anybody up, but I got them into the shore. And his buddy wanted to somewhat argue with me that he could take the test and he could pass it. And in so many kind words, I told him he better shut his mouth while he was ahead. So that guy totally understood that a letter was going out today to fine him. Actually, he had 2 violations. He had somebody that he was allowing to drive his boat without a operating license, and he was driving fast at 11 o'clock at night. So they admitted doing it. He just thought he'd let his buddy drive it. He said he tried to use the excuse that he opened it up. But I just told him it didn't make sense to me why he would go almost the whole length of the lake doing 30 mile an hour in the middle of the night. I told him if it was me and I would have told him to knock it off, it would have stopped just like that, not the whole length of the lake. So that was the reason they were getting their fine, but so far, I just think that people are still wanting to test the water.
Here's a question for Ken. What I'd like to do is I'd like to include, if anybody has noticed, Brian Helmer has helped me out creating a lake, a neighborhood security report that's published in the highlights. I'd like to add lake security incidents to that report so the people become aware. Who should I contact to get that information? Is there a lake security?
Well, Rick and I are working on a program now that will help assist us in being efficient with it, to where I think that would be easy for him to be able to kind of pull that information and put it in there.
So then,
as of right now, it would probably be without names and addresses.
oh, absolutely. No, we don't do, or Brian Helmer has not ever put any names. He's just identified the incident and the number of occurrences. So, do I contact Rick or yourself to get that information?
Rick and I work together on it. We, like I said, he's got a program that he introduced to me I think it's a great tool, I just need to sit down, understand it, and he'll have that information, so he can put it in there.
Okay, so it will be added then to Brian Helmer's report.
I would see what it would, as long
Thank
as
you.
he's got the space in his paper, as long as he's got space in it.
As long as he authorizes me to access the database that he's going to have, yes, I can do that.
Okay, so then Rick Miller will be in charge of lake security incident reports, and Brian Helmer will be in charge of land incidents.
Well, Brian gives it to me anyway,
Okay,
so I just,
great, so I could sort of step aside.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. All right. We have no old business unless I forgot something. So we'll move right on to new business. And first thing on the agenda is Ken Roselle under the Storybook Walk.
I'm glad Jeff is here. I really don't know whether this is even a discussion for the board, in my opinion. I just think it's something that I probably, either manage whether I do it or whether I don't. I don't know if it's, if you guys want to decide, that I just had, after reading over this, I just had a few questions and maybe Jeff don't know a whole lot about it. I think it was just given to you and you thought it was a good idea.
I know a little about it. I was.
Well, one of the paragraphs said, it says the goal is to install 3 full-time storyboard walls. Well, they've already got 3 identified, so.
Where'd you get that? From, oh, it was in the newspaper.
Well, it was what you give me. I don't know where else I.
Well, let me talk about it, then go.
Okay.
I'll take,
Okay.
a month ago, I'm the chairperson of the grants committee on the foundation in Greencastle. So a month ago, our meetings are held at the same time the board meetings are here, but tonight's meeting is canceled, so I was able to show up. A month ago, the Putnam County Library came with a grant request to put 2-story walks, one in Cloverdale, one in Rochdale. They wanted a grant, if it was fully funded, they would then have to put up. So, they put that presentation on, and after they left, we discussed it in our meeting, and it was unanimously approved, we'll approve that grant. Plus, well, since it's such a good idea, and then Putnam County Library is wanting to get more, notoriety and more involved in other than Greencastle. So it was suggested, well, how about Heritage Lake? If Heritage Lake would be interested, we would pay for a match. If Heritage Lake could match, the foundation would be willing to pay half, if the foundation or if the POA was interested. So I went to the grants committee meeting last month and asked them if they wanted to fund half of that, which would be around $2,000. And Tom suggested that we needed to go to the board. I thought first that the grants committee, the cleanup committee would either decide whether they fund half the grant or not, and then if they did, then it would be time to come to the board and say, there's an opportunity to have a storybook walk put on the property if you're willing to have that put on the property. So Tom thought, well, no, we need to come to the board first and see if you're willing to have it on the property. So that's the question. If the board's willing to put it on the property, it wouldn't cost anything. The Putnam County Library would take care of maintaining the books and the stations along the walkway, and the foundation. So I can be here as a representative of that. We'll pay half if it was matched, and so having been the past chairperson of the cleanup committee, I asked the committee, "What do you think? We've got money, and we these are things that we do." And so there was interest, but they didn't know what the board would want to do. So it's it's in your hands as far as, I think, moving forward to then ask one of the committees. My idea was to ask the cleanup committee, because I think the cleanup committee needs to have, that'd be a good presence too. $2,000, $2,500 or something would couple with the match, we pay for all the hardware and materials and installations and stuff, like these books along the walkway, if you chose to have that. So that's the story behind that. So it's an opportunity, if you want it. If you don't, then you know that won't happen.
That match that you talked about, does that include installation?
Yeah, that's what, the installation, the hardware, the Putnam County Library told me it takes about $5,000 to put one in place at Rochdale, which that's happening. They're gonna put one in Cloverdale. There's already, I guess the three would be, there's already one in Greencastle, it's part
This is
of.
Auburn Pond Road.
Yeah,
Auburn Palms,
yeah,
right.
yeah, there's one in Greencastle now, and they're gonna be putting one in Cloverdale and in Rochdale, due to the grants, and there's a match, since this is private property, the committee thought, we'll give a match. So it's up to you guys, if you say, hey, this would be neat if you have a walking path or a trail, that you would like to have this put on, then, wouldn't cost you anything, it might cost one of the committees if you would wanna have the committee, come up with the other half of the money. But, the foundation is willing to pay for half of it. So,
Okay, I would, I guess, to educate myself and the rest of the people that are on the board, normal procedure here, I'm gonna make an assumption, so anybody has the right to step in. Yes, go ahead,
I
I'm
just,
sorry.
where would we put this? Like, what walking path, what area?
The only place that I could even think of would be on the end, on that road either. That'd be the
Boy
only
Scouts
place
Road. I'm not against it, I just trying to think.
Could we put it at a playground? Or is it not like a playground type thing?
I'm having trouble
here, I'll pass this around, just so you got a picture. This one.
I guess I have.
I mean, we know what
We
the.
have that.
Oh, okay.
Everybody does.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm just saying, like, is it just one thing, or is there like multiple?
All of it, there'll be 20 of them. You walk from one station to another to start and finish the book. It's the idea, it's an end thing. This particular picture is a picture of one at Humboldt Park in Plainview. It's an idea to get people out and walk and read.
So there's 20 per trail?
Could be, yeah, the ones going up in Cloverdale and Rochdale will have over 20 stations like this.
With one page of the book.
2 pages per.
Station.
Two pages of the book,
I think so.
and then you go to the next station, read the next 2 pages.
I don't know.
I didn't know.
How big is the Boy Scout troop?
Nina knows, she goes all the time. I walk that trail every day.
How long is it?
Would you say quarter mile?
Half a mile, well, I go all the way to Heritage Drive because the animals have it all knocked down right now, so I can't. But the passable part of the trail is anywhere from quarter to half a mile,
One way.
one way.
So is that an applicable trail for something like this, a quarter mile?
Yeah.
20 stations would be?
The idea is to get people going out walking.
Understand.
Getting interested, and so I guess if it's a one, if you walk 2 and then come back, then, it's a half-mile walk, and it's kind of the end thing, I think, is what the Putnam County Library told me. I don't know, but, I've never heard of it until last month. And they said, well, we're putting one in Rochester, we wanna do more. So we said, you know what, we got some money, and somebody on the committee, I didn't, that would be a conflict. Somebody else suggested.
This is my 2 cents. If it costs the POA, and probably over my spending on it, it should come from me. If it's not, I would think it would be the property manager's job to decide whether this is going in or not. Now, my question is, if that would be the only place that I can think of putting it, but there's a lot of questions I got. I mean, that's a flood area. We get some heavy rain,
Yeah,
all 20 of those are probably underwater.
at one point.
So, that's something I gotta consider, and see if there's, if it's concreted in the ground, it may not, but the water could be high enough that, I'm sure they probably only stand about this
Well,
high.
you can see they're about, what, waist high?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
they're just waist high.
And that could easily be.
Yeah, so it wouldn't work.
Submersed. I've never been on that trail over by Clear Creek area, but I know
Behind
people
the
walk
dam?
back.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Behind the dam.
I've never been back. I don't know if that's a.
Do we have to cross a creek there?
I just went there after the parking lot meeting, I just stopped and see what I saw. It's not so easy to walk, the rocks are very thick. And
You could put it
it's-
around, like around that perimeter of like the playground or something. Like if
I
the
would
kids are
prefer
playing on the playground, they
that.
could walk around and read them.
And you don't need to answer this today. If you wanna, kick it for another month, that's fine. The foundation's, match is there.
Okay.
It's not gonna go away, but it'll only be used for that, and only that. But it's there, and if you decide, that, hey, you wanna do this, and you got a committee that's willing, I wouldn't fund it with POA money, but if one of the committees could fund it.
Yeah.
That would be committee type funding type projects. If they wanna do that, then as long as that foundation money is there, and it's there,
Well, I
it's
think
not
at
gonna
this
go
point,
away.
I appreciate your explanation. I think at this point, maybe the first step is to find a committee that is applicable, has some money, and are they interested in researching
That's right.
for this lake? And going out and finding out is there an applicable place for this consideration? So if we could find that committee, then I'd say let's put it in their ballgame. Let's put it in there. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I wanted to make sure that Ken gets his questions answered. He has some questions, I'm not sure what they are, but who would you recommend he go to? So he gets his questions answered before we approach a committee and ask them for money.
And I wouldn't mind going to see.
I have 2 copies.
We're not gonna ask the committee for money. What my suggestion is to find an applicable committee that would like to champion this thing and research it and get with Ken on their research and figure out if it's applicable for Heritage Lake. That was my.
That's exactly right.
Maybe more than one committee?
Yeah.
One of the things, once this is put up, the committee will get recognition, the foundation will get recognition, and the Putnam County Library will get recognition. And so, that's recognition.
I think it's a cute and great idea. I just lay awake thinking of things that, and all I can think of is this, we put these in and they're submerged underwater. And now the water, and they're all leaning like this, so.
One of the people last night at the grants committee meeting that I twisted my arm, because I said, I don't think that, Heritage Lake is interested in something like this. And they go, well, it wouldn't hurt you to ask them, because might be a neat thing for you don't know what the people that live here if they would like it or not, so it's an opportunity that, do you want to do that or not, and if you do, where do you want to do it? I think Tom brought up some good points, what all involves with this, other than just putting the stations in and changing the books out. They change the books out quarterly, so the library people will be here quarterly, every 3 months to change the books.
That was a concern.
And so the Putnam County Library is wanting to get out into the county, in all corners of the county. And they started with Rosedale and Cloverdale. And it was somebody on the committee that thought, well, a lot of people live at Heritage Lake, maybe they'd be interested in a match. so we had a little bit extra money, and that's how that happened.
Okay, so, are we at a point where, you wanna continue championing this, or do you want somebody else to take it from you?
Well, I took it to the cleanup committee, and I can take it to the cleanup committee again at our meeting Wednesday. Because
Okay.
I'm a member of the committee,
Okay.
I'm not the chairperson.
Why don't you take it back to the cleanup committee, and I think we probably need to establish possibilities of where it could be, right? I mean, you don't wanna put it on a trail that's gonna be flooded.
You want a brainstorm, you're right,
Yeah.
it could maybe be at the marina, it could
Okay.
maybe, hard town work, you got, people come up with a good idea, maybe, if you think about it.
Alright,
Just to confirm, did you say the one at Roachvale is already open?
No,
Oh.
they've got a full grant
That was
to put
just
one in, and they're gonna put it up around the park, at Roachdale, where the old high school was, the elementary school is now.
So there's not one that
No, it's
people
one
can
we
go
can go
look
see.
at to see.
No, they just got approved for the money, you know, 3 weeks ago.
Is there one we could go see?
Plainfield has one, and then there's one in according to the thing you got, that, Brent has.
There's also one in Fishers, there's a bunch in Hamilton County. If you just, Google story walk, you'll see they're, very prolific throughout the
I
state.
think Washington Township Park and Avon may have one.
They have one.
And at the bottom of the picture, the girl that wrote the grant, that's her phone number, she works at Greencastle, you can call her, and talk to her about it. Yeah, I never heard of it either, so much.
My first thought was a place that it could be would maybe over at the marina where the playgrounds are, they're kind of
Mhm.
spaced out, just kind of place them throughout the tree area.
I kind of lean towards the marina around there, if that's okay, because of the restaurant and the activities in the playground area and all the activities that go on. But I'm not a board member, so you know, that's your guys' call, and you're the manager, that's your call too. I mean, it's easy for me. I don't have to mow them, you know.
Well, mowing was a thought because the grass around all those trees don't get.
Hey, Dale, take care of
It was.
So
we're gonna continue brainstorming through the cleanup committee, and then we'll, maybe you could,
we have our meeting Wednesday, so.
okay, and then you can tell Ken what people came up with? How's that? Alright? You okay on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, AJ, Marina Gas Dispenser, is everybody ready?
Okay. So, I called a company called Midwest Maintenance and Construction. They do gas pump repair, installation. I guess actually way back, at some point, they actually did some service on our pump years and years and years ago. So they knew we were already from their system, but it had been years since we had them specifically come out. So we walked around with Ben and Tommy, or I think it's Tommy, right? Yeah. I don't think it matters. It's not important to the story.
Yeah.
Tom. But anyhow, we walked around, we talked about what we needed to do, kind of what we were thinking. I'd also gone online and just talked to a company who could ship us just a pump, just a remanufactured pump. They would ship it to us, and then we would have to deal with getting it installed or bringing in a company anyway. So he said, let's get another quote of somebody local that can do the whole shoot match in one deal. Basically, we talked about, we went through with some of the marina staff, Steve was there. So we had talked about potentially for the future, getting longer hoses than we have now. So if we end up expanding the gas dock kind of maybe down towards the point a little bit, we would be able to gas people further away from the pump without having to continually move boats all the time. With also the potential of not anyone falling in while they're trying to move the boat down into the lake. So this quote that we have, we can provide it to whoever needs to see it. I think everybody here has it. We're going to put in, or we're looking to put in 2 stainless steel hose reels on the outside of the cage where the pump will be, the fenced-in area. If anybody's been to the marina, you've probably seen the fenced-in area. We were kind of nervous about a trip hazard of having all these hoses. coming in and out. Also, we would like it to be a two-sided pump or we could pump two people gas-wise instead of just one. Try to double our speed here. So there would be hoses mounted outside of that locked up area that we could lock up at night, so obviously nobody can mess with them. And we can turn the pump off at night. We were gonna get two 50-foot hoses. It says they're 3/4 inch. And we didn't ask a lot of specifics, like if they make a 40-foot hose or a 38-foot hose or whatever. He just spec'd out 50-foot hoses. I know there were some questions about that, about the length of it. I don't know if it truly matters. As far as dollars and cents, if there's going to be a real big change in the money. We're talking about a new pump. I'll just read it. They would remove the old dispenser change out of hose reel installation, remove and dispose of existing dispenser, provide and install a new Bennett single product 2-hose electronic dispenser, provide and install 2 stainless steel hose reels mounted on either side of the existing enclosure, the fenced-in area. Provide and install whip hoses to feed the reels, so they'd be from the pump to the hose reels under the fence. Provide and install new nozzles and breakaways. Start up, purge, and calibrate the dispenser for weights and measures. And then they have some other requirements that we have to fill out some information for them. So the dispenser itself would be $6,250. It is brand new, but I am not aware of the warranty. Did they say a year on new?
1 year.
1 year on a new pump would be a 1-year warranty. Yeah, thank you. So $6,250 for the pump, another $4,000 for the reels and the hoses and the nozzles. And these are all brand new. They're not remanufactured. We're not shoving on old stuff onto a nice new pump. And then it's about $1,575 to install. $1,575 to install. Which brings us up after tax to a grand total of $12,614.19 to get us to an upgraded new pump that would have a warranty. It would be electronic. It would be easier to calibrate and fix because I'm not sure how hard it is to get parts now to fix one we have. But
I don't, the $6,250 just from what over a year we've been looking at is to me, for a new dispenser is very reasonable. I think the construction labor is very reasonable. The wish list on it is the $4,000 for the hose reel, and especially with reaching out so long, I guess that's kind of a wish list, but all it's going to take is.
I'm assuming some of that
trip hazard, somebody ends up in the water, you know.
I'm just saying we're not.
We could go with less than $10,000 and you know, having a 100-foot hose laying around everywhere, but they highly recommended it. And I, to be honest with you, I kind of like the idea because I was just really nervous about adding a second hose going out.
And then getting tangled. If somebody's going left and somebody's going right, and they grab the wrong one and they get them tangled up.
And what they do when they step out of the boat.
I also feel like
step over it.
Well, another thing, Ken, and we didn't really bring this up. We're trying to bring everything up to super high standards. So we want the marina to look as nice as humanly possible. That's why we're going to talk about striping the parking lot and all sorts of other things, and fixing all just moving the volleyball court so we can have a nice area for bands, and we're trying to raise the amenities in the way it is. So we're trying to think of, hey, how can we get people in and out faster from the marina? Well, if we can pump 2 boats worth of gas at the same time, you can double your transaction speeds, get people in and out, provide better customer service, and that's what we're really here for. I do agree that we didn't get this till
When did we get this?
About, 3 hours ago. Yeah, 3 or 4 hours ago, so I hadn't seen it till I walked in. I've been building a deck in Greencastle all day, so, yep. And like I said, the quote I had for online, I believe it was like $4,700 for a used remanufactured pump with no install, no nothing. Here's a pump with 2 sides. And I did like that this guy actually physically came out, looked at our pump, looked at everything, and kind of saw our operation, so he kind of knew what to look for. And we, for some reason, didn't go with the hose reels. I'm assuming the labor might go down, but I don't know. What questions do people have?
And he said that this could definitely be a 1-day project, about half a day.
And that's without a card reader.
No card readers, because we're gonna use the POS system. We're gonna find some sort of mobile thing for the POS system.
Does anybody know about those?
That wasn't on my
Not yet. Not that I know of.
Know about card readers,
Yeah,
like Square or?
No, one that works with the new POS system.
There is a handheld.
handheld out by the pump,
There is a handheld with bin system. that can work.
you know, approximately how much it is. That's
Do we know
right.
the name of the company we use for the POS system?
So this is, this is a 1-day.
It's European.
1 day install. Would be down from the morning till, let's say, the next morning, just in case.
And he was clear that he did it first.
You know,
You have a
so-
question?
I think, Steve asked it regarding the card reader, that would be an added cost. I think it's a great idea, but I just look at it and to me, I think that's 1/3 of Ken's new equipment budget. It's a heavy hit for Ken.
Well, we did budget $40,000 for new motors that we're not gonna be buying. 35,000 that we're not buying, because we don't need new motors. So it's half of that, which isn't part, is that still part of new equipment, or is that in addition to new equipment?
You were asking, is the $35,000?
Is 35,000 your
Total.
entire new equipment budget?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was in addition to the new equipment budget.
I thought we were gonna do this through the POA money, not through Ken's budget.
That's where the budget comes from.
That's where the money-
That's the POA budget.
Yeah.
We have to vote on
Okay.
it, because it would be above.
Yeah. We have to vote on it, but yeah, the POA budget is basically what Ken works off of. That's his bank.
Yep.
Bible. I call it my Bible.
So basically, when
He knows it better than I do.
somebody comes up with an idea out here, first thing we hopefully try to do is look and see if we have anything on the budget for that year for that particular item. And under the budget we have right now, it has been established that we do have the monies in there for that budget. Now, what happens after that is, that budget has to be managed by Ken. So after he spends, almost $13,000, he's gonna have, what's that, $12,000 left over? $22,000 left over, so. Hopefully, no, that's in a different area, what you're holding up in your hand.
What discussion do we have other than that? Like, does anybody have reservations about buying a new
I
pump?
need to see the budget. I haven't seen the budget for this year. So this
I mean,
is-
that is the new equipment budget. That's 35.
New equipment budget is $35,000. And when he established that new equipment budget, he assumed he was gonna buy lawnmowers this year. He is hopefully not going to buy them because it runs in a 2-year cycle, as he discussed last meeting. And, so, you know, I think the bottom line here is if everybody thinks we need a new pump, if Ken's willing to stick his neck out with his new equipment budget.
So, can I ask
Sure.
I have two. One, how long until we could get this? Is there,
We have to have 2 votes. So we have to vote yea or nay today. If we vote nay, then obviously it's dead. But if we vote yes, then we have to wait all the way till the May meeting and then vote, and then we can say go.
And how long from then? until
What's the lead time? Once we tell them you're in, do we know that? No.
We do know that, cause we did discuss that, and I don't wanna speak out of turn, right? I think he said he was gonna go back and try to quote off of something that they had in stock.
Like this pump potentially could be sitting in their warehouse.
So
But we
we're
don't.
looking at like a week in and out from when we go ahead.
So like if we said, if we voted this and he said yes, and then we said yes in May again, and then everybody's good to go, I'm assuming he'd probably be a week or two out install wise, just depending on their schedule.
At
But
this
he
time.
knows that they have to, we're gonna be a couple months before we can even say yes. Or at least a month today and then whatever, you know.
I would say that by the end of, if we voted the second one in May,
It would be done before Memorial Day.
yes.
That's what we're asking.
We asked him if it could be done before Memorial Day, just knowing the voting procedure, if that was something everybody wanted to do. He said he feels very confident he can do that, but he didn't obviously give us a definite, because like we didn't give him a definite. We were wishy-washy, he was a little wishy-washy, because that's where we are. So, I know it's a lot of money.
Number two, if we did not do the hose reels and hose nozzles, the $4,000, and we decide later that that's needed, how hard would that be to have them come out and install those?
To be honest, I mean, it must be a heck of a contraption, because,
I think they're hard.
in all honesty, I was not expecting.
I didn't either. From the way he talked about them, I didn't. I mean, they're $2,000 a piece.
Now, he quoted for two.
Yeah.
Now, when we discussed it, I think I was more interested in having one with an additional reel going out to the farthest.
I think he was concerned about the floor area inside that, inside the little cage. I really don't like that cage in particular because I'm 6'2", and it's about here. My forehead, I know you guys can't see.
You're not allowed in.
No, but I'm just saying, like, when I was walking around out there, I was just thinking anybody that's tall is gonna pop their head, so you just have to keep hiring shorties.
Yeah, there's a purpose for that. You're 6'2", you're allowed.
Go most grass.
Don't need to work.
But anyway, like I said, this is not set in stone. We did our best to find, there's just not, I mean, from what I looked, there's not a ton of companies that do this. I mean, there's a lot of companies in the world that do this, but just.
I think if anybody has a heartburn over the 12.6, I think at the best, we can maybe cut that down $2,000
Yeah.
one reel.
We can run
I think if we go with a second handle, that's gonna reach out to which I stepped off is like 40 feet, I think. That's the side that needs.
So can we assume that a dispenser comes with a hose? Or not? Was that in part
I
of
mean,
this?
it says provide and install the hoses on the reels.
Yeah, I know that.
I will clarify.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's gonna come with your regular standard issue gas pump one that's what, 10 feet long?
I don't think they do.
You know?
From the
The quote is a different line item.
all the quotes that I was getting at one point in time, they were for refurbished ones. None of them come with nozzles and hoses.
The one I did quote online did come with hoses. I don't know if it came with nozzles, but it came with hoses.
I guarantee it's probably maybe one of those.
We got a new hose on the pump we have now that we can use on the, if we have to, because it'll reach the far end.
If it's anything like the hose reels we use for moving our equipment around inside a plant, that's a really good price. I can tell you that. And we use stainless steel as well, because that's a requirement for the hose reels. You want stainless steel if they're outside.
They are stainless steel.
They are stainless steel.
It says right in here.
And I will tell you that if we cut corners, which I'm gonna do. First time somebody trips over it for $2,000.
Especially an employee,
And then we tripped over the one we got in there. I mean, people have tripped over it because it's all wound up in there. It's not.
I've never seen
Got
a hose
anything
reel
in-
for fueling, but if it's anything like what we use,
I'm picturing Costco. Have you ever gotten gas at there?
yes.
That's just a regular.
They're not that.
That's a regular
It'll
little
reach
pulley
out.
system
This
is
is,
all
this
that
is
is.
gonna go all the way back into that reel.
And then bring it
I'm
back out.
assuming there's gonna be. a
Like an
connection.
airline for your, like, you know, those, like, garden hoses that you pull and auto retract.
There's
I
a
think
short.
I'm trying to find a picture.
I would assume there's a short hose that goes from the reel to the pump. Then when you pull that out of the reel, just like a garden hose, not a reel. And you come back and it stays all the way up there. And that short hose inside the cage is not gonna be long enough to be tripped at. They're not gonna be in there with that.
I'm sure there's a cat track.
They are a local Michigan company. So
I mean, you're out there, you're touching the gas.
We need the pump. The reel outside,
Yeah.
we need that because there's no way that you could have a 50-foot hose inside that
Right.
cage.
Safely.
Now, if we wanna do just one, I mean, I think we could work it for right now, but if we add on to the dock, then we have to go back and do it again with another reel,
I think
if we're gonna do
that's
it.
down the line and then.
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
guess
one in
I don't- Right
operation
now,
yet?
with the budget that we have, I don't know.
AJ, have you seen one in operation yet? Physically?
I'm trying to find a picture to see if I can find one from Bennett to see if they also do air hoses. I'm assuming it's something they make, they actually have the auto retract air hose.
You have another question?
Just, can we get a quote on the carburetor? Because we thought that it would be very important to have the ability, so as long as we get an idea of what the price, the total price would be for a carburetor.
I know if we get, you mean the built-in one or the one that
No,
goes
no,
with the system?
somebody was suggesting
Yeah,
that they
the
do a
handheld.
handheld or something that works with the.
I was gonna say, the ones that come in this, in the gas pump, both companies that I talked to, it says it almost doubles the price of the pump.
Yeah.
To add a built-in carburetor,
I think
so that's why we were like, no.
I'm talking about the handheld?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the handhelds, I mean, it's, we can get a quote on it, but we still need a pump.
Oh, sure.
You know, we need the pump.
Pump first.
Yeah,
I got a quick question. So was the original, I guess, budget for the marina, did that include the pumps?
no,
Okay, I just,
this is coming out of new equipment.
Okay.
No pumps in the budget.
all right.
I prefer, if we do it, that we do something like an established company like this versus ordering a pump and then trying to find someone to install it.
I would definitely agree that, like, this guy was familiar, cause he's worked with them since they installed something.
You worked with the guy that put that pump in.
Yeah, in '95. And also, you gotta remember too, guys, like, this pump went in 1995. It's now 2020 and we're finally thinking about replacing it.
And it was a used pump when they put it in.
So there's a good chance that we could maybe get more than a year or two out of this. I know that it's expensive up front, but also, you know, we're gonna probably get 20 years out of this pump, I would hope. So 20 years divided by $12,000, it's not a lot per year.
What we gotta decide is we gonna put both reels in or one reel.
I mean,
Should we do one short and then do one long? I mean, a boat's gonna pull up to the pump as it is now, most likely. And then a reel could go to the one behind it.
I think the reels are for the trip hazard portion more than the actual length of those. We could probably, well, I don't know how we can make a motion, but my question would be, would everybody feel comfortable motioning for the full amount, not to exceed this amount, and then I can contact them or Ken can contact them and based on the quote and say, hey, if we went with a 40-foot hose or one hose reel or whatever to reduce the cost and just to see how much it is. Because we still have to vote again there, but this would just be more of a tentative vote. Does anybody have a problem with a do not exceed this quote number in attempt to lower the price by changing the hose length, reducing the hose reel, whatnot. Does anybody hate that idea, love that idea?
I think everybody's ready for a motion.
I make a motion that we accept, to vote on the price that we have right now with both reels and the hoses.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Still asks the same questions, you would?
It'll go on old business for next month.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, it was really long-winded getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Sorry you had to wait this long, but, that's the way things are. Maybe you won't even have to speak. John Reedy is gonna give us a little presentation here on Marina parking lot. And if you could,
Jamie, why don't you come on up forward a little bit? So Jamie Deep is with Autos.
Hi.
How's it going? And he's here to help do the presentation, but as well as that, answer questions. I've noticed in the packet that you guys got, did anyone happen to print the stuff that I sent you guys on Saturday? Well, I knew you did, AJ, so
Save trees.
I'm happy to oblige. Those are the
Current.
the sketches that Jamie provided.
Here, I didn't get one because I'm not on my computer right now.
Got an extra one, I'll take one.
Huh?
You got an extra one there, I'll take it.
All right. I think you got this packet of the proposals. What you don't have that I've included, I actually included the same drawing that Deborah gave you, plus the previous drawing for reference. So.
Jamie, are you a resident here?
I am.
I thought you were. Do you have a son
Yeah.
going to the college next year?
I do.
He'll play football with my son. You are. Sure.
Your son was this?
Grandson.
I'm grandson, I'm sorry, okay. What's his name?
Oh, white.
Okay.
Here are those.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have, her packet doesn't have everything I got. But she's nice, actually.
My sister in her backyard looks like binoculars. I do. She's behind me on the water. So
Alright. First off, before we get into proposals, I figure it's best to kind of give everybody, we had a meeting
Thank you.
a week ago today at the marina. Summer was there, AJ was there, Paul was there, and so was Steve. And we took a look at the previous. You'll notice there's another drawing that I gave you, the original drawing that I did. So, and we met with Jamie, wanted Jamie's input, and Ken was there as well. And that's how we came up with this revised drawing, was to, so to speak, put the cars on one side of the lot and the boats and trailers, or pickups and trailers on the other side of the lot, plus provide in the gravel area a, so to speak, drive-through kind of thing. Now, the funny thing about it is Jamie was, we're all talking to Jamie, and Jamie left, and I left after the meeting, and he started working on the sketches, well, so did I. And it just so happened a lot of the sketches, when I got them, they looked a lot like what I drew up. And the only difference is, I think Jamie originally drew it up with the possibility of having some parallel parking in the gravel lot where the trailers are at. where I did basically not parallel parking, just parking along the outside perimeter.
Parallel.
Parallel.
Yours is
too.
parallel, actually, mine is.
We're perpendicular on a diagonal, so. And that was pretty much the whole difference. The only other change I didn't make to the car parking, Jamie had noticed, we would increase some of that spacing where the car parking is to allow a little bit more clearance in the drive lane. Plus the turnaround, it was also decided we use all the bumpers rather than putting a cordoning off that area with a separate line of bumpers and a drive lane. We would use those bumpers at the end of those gravel spots. So basically what Jamie put together is a bunch of, if you go through them, I've got them in order. His first list, his first sketch is called his blackout. And what he's showing here is all the white lines that have to be blacked out. Correct, Jamie?
Correct.
So the second page is basically determining what's going to be white, what's going to be yellow, and what's going to be blue. Obviously, what's going to be blue is on the lower portion. And I realize it's hard to see because it's done from a aerial photograph, but obviously the only blue area is the handicapped areas. And then the crosswalk in front of the ramp would be yellow. And then the new striping would all be white. Correct, Jamie?
Correct. And the one difference on there between your drawing and mine, I think this is something we kind of talked about. I know you brought up was coming off the boat parking on the opposite side there. I drew it in there with the crosswalk, crosswalk coming up from there as well, just because obviously I think you guys said people are going to come off there. Not everybody's going to go up and walk all the way across. At least it encourages people to go up that way if they do come off the dock that direction.
And it's not gonna be red, right? It's gonna be yellow.
Yellow, correct.
Across.
Yeah, my yellow is my red is my yellow and my orange.
That's why it has a red dot, but it's denoted as yellow.
There's a lot of pictures, man. A lot of pictures.
It is. It's a lot. Jamie put a lot of
Did you
work
bring
into this.
crayons?
Hey,
Oh, I want some.
Okay, so, one of the things that was discussed at the parking lot was if you're standing at the ramp and you're facing the parking lot, the issue was the safety of people coming across that ramp. So the philosophy used behind both of their drawings and our discussions at that day was to eliminate some of that hazard by keeping most of the cars on the restaurant marina side, all the trailers and boats to the right of the parking lot, so that the most amount of traffic coming from the cars going to the marina and the restaurant are coming from the same side of that ramp. Hence the drawing.
The third page is basically showing how Jamie kind of depicted when the vehicles come in to the main entrance, you'll have a lane, which I kind of showed it with arrows, but he showed the same thing with basically lanes going off to the left, which would be for the trailers and the pickups and the boats, and then a lane going to the right for the cars and carts. That's the other thing, golf carts.
I think this is good, and also hopefully helps Ken who's concerned about cross traffic.
Yeah, I see.
Then also there's another page too that's going to show signs. So we talked about putting a sign right there too. So it'll show where you can say, hey, folks, stay left, cars, restaurants, stay right here.
Kind of like a truck stop.
Correct.
Are we gonna reverse, out there right now where the cars and the trucks, where everybody comes in, there's two lanes. There's an exit and an entrance. I think we need to go entrance on the left-hand side instead of that being an exit, and the exit sign on the right side. So that when they go down, they're going down this way, but when they're coming out this way, And I think it's gonna cause less traffic jams.
I'll
Hey,
follow
but
that.
what he's saying, when you come into the marina, you know, you normally come in, flip the,
You're still gonna be crossing traffic at the
You're
other
still
end.
gonna
though,
cross
either
traffic
way.
either way you go.
'Cause if you come in with a car, you're gonna cross it going right. The boat's going left.
It's gonna mainly be cars coming out that's gonna cross. It's not gonna be the boat trailers.
You'll still have boat trailers come out
I
eventually.
think everybody should.
If it goes in, it's coming out.
I think everybody should just stay to the right. When you come in on the right hand side, when you go out on the right hand side.
Okay.
Like, you mean in the chute that's off the end here, way out
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Well, if you have people coming in, you're gonna have head-ons, cause if you have a car coming in this way, how am I gonna get out?
You're gonna go on the left-hand side.
I'm not sure, the only thing I wondered about
So
is,
if you go left and you wanna make a right-hand turn up Heritage Drive,
It's not gonna make any difference. Because you're gonna have head-ons coming up there anyhow, and this way only the cars are the ones that are gonna be affected. Cause trailers are coming out when they're putting the boats, taking the boats out, they're going up and they're gonna stay left. And anybody coming in is gonna stay to the right.
I don't think the best route is the risk of telling people to drive on the opposite side than what we're accustomed to.
Well,
I think
we'll
we're
see it
just
when it gets
asking
really
for
bad.
trouble doing that myself.
well, it's a suggestion, that's what the,
That's what it is.
that's what this is all about, discussing possibilities. Now, I have my own feelings about that. Number one, might be able to train 1,200 people to do that, but I'm not sure we can train the public to do that. I sat at a McDonald's before, and by golly, I've seen some almost head-on collisions in McDonald's, and they're well marked.
Mike's car wash.
It's
It's a tough
Only
one.
one way.
yeah, I think Memorial Weekend, everybody comes up there, they're gonna see what's going on. Cause it's a big hassle and a big traffic jam.
Well, hopefully there's gonna be so much new paint on this parking lot, we may shock the people into reading some of the signs. I agree, I think Memorial Day weekend is not gonna be a good gauge on anything, because it's always crazy.
Yeah, well,
with
you know.
signs, we could put out by the, have to be out by the road, that
Yeah.
would simply say new traffic pattern.
We're
That will get their attention.
That's good.
309 boats right now registered. You know how many you had last year registered? It wasn't that bad in Memorial Weekend because we had them all registered. We was almost 800 boats at this time last year. And we're 309 now. So it's gonna be a pretty good mess for Memorial Weekend.
Especially if it stays cool between now and then. Yes?
I think one of the things you're gonna see is once people see the orientation of the parking slots, they will understand the traffic pattern and follow.
For the most part.
I worked in a lot of parking garages in my 8 years of working for parking garages, and you could put up a neon sign with flashing buzzers on it, and people will still drive the wrong way down the wrong alley every time because they think they're important.
You can't fix stupid.
Yeah, you can't fix it. So basically what I think we're all trying to do is trying
It's
to
faster.
limit the
Yeah.
stupid.
That's
The one
with
thing I
that.
added too, that you
That's
guys
what it boils
didn't
down
talk
to.
about, I did add that do not enter coming across there too on the boat ramp. So hopefully someone sees that, they're not gonna, oh wait, I'm not supposed to be going this way. Little additional.
I like your optimism.
You have a question?
No, I'm just the one who drives backwards down the
Oh, okay.
parking lot.
Well, thanks for admitting that.
You're welcome.
You can be the guinea pig on the morning day.
Sweet. Give me a
The fourth
60
one is the fourth page is the notes that it says yellow at the top. This is kind of showing what would happen with the gravel area. So basically diagonals and also diagonals for vehicles on the left side.
Are we
And
talking about this one?
they only go, says yellow at the top.
But it's written in red.
Yes.
God, look at this. What am I supposed to do?
That's why I'm stapled together. See,
That is helpful.
And I think it's important to say for people like me who would be pulling a boat trailer with no clue what I'm doing, I need as much help as possible, and that's what these spots are for being able to pull in and pull through, so I don't have to back my trailer out because I couldn't do it.
How many,
You better get there early.
He has it written down here, 9 spaces. And
in the middle there, we had, that's approximate, I mean, it could be one more, it could be one, I mean, it just depends on how wide.
how
I
far you
did
can bring it out so the traffic pattern works?
exactly,
Right.
if you go with what he suggested, doing parallel, well, and then just gonna widen up your drive lane, you probably could add another one closer to the asphalt. You know, or even one more closer to the lake side, so.
is it not true though, Jamie, that when it actually comes down to it, you really won't know what you got till you actually start?
I would agree with that. I mean, our guys, when our guys go out on a job, most of the time we haven't measured out something like this. A lot of times we'll say layout per to get an advantage of how many spaces you can get. We'll say do what you can to get the most you can get out of this area. So something like this, I mean, I wouldn't tell them, scoot all that along the asphalt there. I mean, because you want to make sure you have room. Obviously, with his plan too, there, if you're doing the on the in this area right here, this gonna be longer out here now with the trailer parking coming up straight in there. So it's gonna be down here a little bit more. You're gonna be coming in more like this. So if that makes sense, I saw. So the lines over here are gonna be coming out further. You're gonna be coming in kind of more from here, curving up. So it's just, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, this is just a total estimate, guesstimate at this time. It's based on math, but you just don't know.
Okay, so
The next page at the top, it's got signs. You with us there, AJ?
Yeah.
Mine are, the first one is yours.
Volunteering.
Your parking is the handicap signs, and then the golf cart, where the golf carts come in, and then,
Should we maybe explain the
So-
golf cart to the world that's on the YouTube? Well, being recorded.
That is actually on the YouTube. We've been recording for a while now.
good,
We're
good.
streaming.
That would be golf carts, off the road vehicles.
We're gonna park basically
On the
by
grass.
I was gonna say explain what we mean by all this golf cart signage. Because golf carts and side by sides have become so popular, we don't want them parking in the car spaces. We want them to pull in, and we can, maybe there's some people in the room or whatever, they need to look at these, but basically when you come in, you would just stay hard to the right, and you'd actually pull out into the grass next to the blue restroom building.
Yes.
And we were thinking about putting in some parking there, some sort of designated golf cart parking, so people would stay out of the lot with the side-by-sides and the golf carts and all that, and they could park over there where they could still go to the restaurant.
In the shade.
In the shade. We just thought that might help, just because we have a lot of side-by-sides.
We do.
Golf carts.
We do. And then he's also, Jamie also put up on here where the boat ramp registration and restaurant sign would be as well, which is right when you come in.
You have, I don't know if you put it in there, the picture that I sent you originally of the sign.
I did not have that.
So something like along these lines right here, which is a sign on a base. I can make a custom sign. I can make a sign say whatever you guys want to say. Boat ramp this way, restaurant this way, cars this way, AJ Parkway is way over here. I don't know whatever it means. So
I'm gonna bring my trailer down.
Perfect.
My big mountain trailer right across the ramp on the board.
And pretty much the next page, the next few pages, only have to do with the bumpers, the concrete bumper.
I did have a question.
Removing them and relocating them into other areas. Obviously, in the gravel lot, you got them all the way down the middle. And so if you don't have any parking along the outside edges, and we don't have any parallel parking, you're gonna utilize some of those, you can also use some of those and space them out as safety barriers, you know?
I did have a question though, because we're saying we're paying to move 83 of these. Well, like, the ones that are up against the arena that are already there, why are we gonna move those?
Here's why, because, well, the one side where you potentially could leave them is right along there. That's the only spot, because the angle's changing everywhere else. But right here, the issue is that these spaces are not gonna be the same width. And so you're gonna have, whatever the cars get laid out at, which is gonna be, I think we said 10 foot, I think is what we measured it out off at, keep it a little bit wider for trucks. You're gonna, once you lay them out 10 foot, I think these, I can't remember what we measured these at, were they at 9.5? So we may not need to, and that'll totally change it if we don't need to. But, it's, and where they're going is gonna change obviously too, depending on what kind of layout you do. If you do the car parking the way I had it, where you're pulling straight in along the gravel lot, and you use them for those spaces there, there's not gonna be any on the opposite side where they are now, along the boat ramp. If you go to how he's talking about doing it with parallel, you're gonna lose spaces up there, but you can space them out then and use them with a border probably all the way around. You're gonna have enough at that point to do that. So that's something that can be.
So that number is fluctuating.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Because I was just thinking, like, if you're just pulling them up and like putting them in a pile for us to hold on to.
So generally, when we come in and we do this, what we do is we'll come in before our striping crew comes, because it's totally separate crew. Our striping crew does not move bumpers; they don't do signs. That's a sign and bumper crew. Bumper guys are going to come out here. They're going to remove all the bumpers and they're going to set them off in the grass, basically right where they're at. Then when they come back after the striping is completed, they'll put them where they all go and reset them.
No, it's
yeah, I mean,
I was just thinking like we were paying to just take pallet forks and go underneath them with like the tractor just go like this and move them. I was like, well,
I mean, honestly, if you guys want to do that, you are more than happy to do that. It'll save you guys a trip charge. It'll be done in one trip for us. That'll be us just coming out here and setting them and putting them in.
I'm just thinking that's $2,200. But I mean, that is something that would be on Ken's team.
His people would have to do them and pin them, they pin them too.
Well, that's an install.
That's
He's
putting
talking
them back.
about, he's got $2,200.
charging us
I know, 2,200, it
I know,
says,
John,
remove, store,
Brady.
reset, pin.
listen, what he's saying is if we took them out, he wouldn't have to charge us 2 trip charges.
Oh, 2 trip
He would only
charges,
charge us 1 trip charge to
It's-
put them back in.
Yeah.
His additional
The
trips
trip
are
charge is 300.
300. I was trying to remember what it was.
So it would save
plus the labor.
Plus the labor of what it is. So
a third.
off the top of my head, I don't have my price book with me. I want to say it's for removing, storing on site, coming back and doing them again. It's like $23 a bumper, somewhere around that per bumper. So that's to handle them twice, and then you got the trip charge in there.
I mean, it doesn't matter if everybody thinks I'm crazy.
Well, we got some, would you pick them up with forks?
Forklifts, you can use them, absolutely. You're gonna wanna, I mean,
Gotta pull the pins out.
gotta pull, well, the pins are, since it's asphalt, the pins are easy. I mean, we don't need, when we put pin, we don't have to drill or anything. We're taking a sledgehammer, we're pounding it straight through the
So
asphalt.
we have to take the pins out.
Correct. What I'm saying is though, it's an easy removal. You come in with the forks and you lift the bumper up.
They'll probably.
If they don't come up, you can take them up with your hands. They're not gonna, it's not like you're gonna have to get some kind of special tool, wrenches or whatever to get them out.
You have to fill the hole.
You can fill them with epoxy. You can fill them,
Well, but you do that.
yeah, we can do that.
But that's not part of
That's not part of this right here. Yeah.
We're
So
taking the bumpers.
This bid here just has holes left.
Just has holes left in this one. Yep. So, but that's an easy fix. Just throw some epoxy in there.
We're only taking the bumpers out in the gravel area, right? Because these would.
When you see the pictures,
Yeah, the
Steve,
angle's
This
gonna
one.
change.
Huh?
The angle's changing.
Angle is gonna change.
Yeah.
So you gotta remove them all to change the angle.
even if they've only gotta move them over 6 or 8 inches, they've gotta move them all.
They all have to be,
They all have to be touched.
they all
which
have
is
to be
what he's
picked up.
accounting for. I don't think it's a bad idea, and I don't think it's probably a bad price, I'm just saying, if we're trying to shave everything off this thing, you know, if we can save $1,000 or $800.
Our forks on our tractor aren't the flat forks like on a forklift. They're, we've got some, but they're, the end of them is somewhat flat, but it kind of opens up about, it's about that thick.
Okay.
So,
You can use a pry bar. If you can take a pry bar, get underneath it, and lift it up, get your forks underneath it.
Or you guys come on with a dingo. That's a real nice guy. He might come over and help you. If he wasn't busy on Sunday or something.
how long do you think it would take somebody that don't know what they're doing to do?
So our crew would be able to do all those bumpers in one day, probably 3/4 of the day, honestly. I would say probably a day and a half, 2 days maybe. It depends on, I mean, each bumper weighs about 250 pounds.
Like I said, maybe we're splitting hairs over $25 a piece. I don't care about spending the money, but I feel like as a treasurer, with austerity in mind, I have to ask the question.
You just spent 12 grand.
Well, we're gonna spend the money, whether we're gonna spend the money with autos or whether we're gonna spend the money with maintenance crew.
Yes, I mean, we paid a bunch of already every day.
Right, but not free labor, and they keep doing one thing when they're doing another.
And they're working on
What's the schedule here as far as if we did everything on this proposal, is this a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day?
So we're at 2 days for the bumpers. The signs would be on that second day, it'll be done at the same time. Striping would be all be done in 1 day.
3 days total.
About 3 days total, yeah. And honestly, the striping probably could be done on the same day as, if they came in the same day as the bumpers being removed, if we're doing that.
And they black them out and strike the other way, the same.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, paint dries in, on a warm day, paint dries in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It's quick. I mean, it's not
So what can be done in 1 day, max?
max. So we could remove all the bumpers, obviously. We could do all the striping in 1 day. And then the second day, we would be able to do all the resetting the bumpers and the signs.
Do we need the lot to be closed, you guys can do this, or?
I'm gonna say no. And the reason being is because you close half of it, give us one half, and then when we're done with that half, our guys would be off it, and that side could be open. It's not gonna affect anything. 'Cause our guys will not leave anything to where the paint's wet. They're not gonna leave where people can drive over it or anything like that.
But I'm not sure that that's operational, is it? If half the lot's filled with cars and then you're done with your other half, you want to move to that?
That's the only problem there, is that, so it's.
You would have to pre-close part of the lot off, right?
Started.
They can just come and rip it off.
Yeah.
To start the day at least.
So they gotta leave your keys.
But I'm saying you could close off potentially, you could rope off the whole, if we were in the middle of the week, marina people, how many boats are in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day, on a Tuesday? How many people are actually in the marina park? 5, 10?
You have to have a nice day. You can't have rain.
Can't have rain. Can't have rain.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
you can't paint the rain.
Yeah.
How many people were there when we were there? Monday morning.
Yeah. Today there was maybe 4 people there the whole time.
I don't know the answer to this, but is there lights out there?
What's your
I don't
lead?
know how much light is out there at night?
There are night lights around there, but
Because we have night crews, it's no different cost, that's just their shift, and we do a lot of work at night, I mean, so that's not option 2.
Oh, it is.
Nice.
I don't think we had that much light.
And it's no extra money?
It's just their normal shift.
But do you bring lights?
They don't bring lights, no, that's the thing, they'd have to have light,
Would the lights on now be a good, I guess, reference for him to drive
I'll drive over there before
I
I
mean,
get home and take a
yeah.
look at it and see
Yeah.
what it
If
looks
we had
like.
to change the lights, it'd be all right.
Are they on?
This May has
Yeah.
access to, one of those generators,
Yeah.
that goes way up in the air, it's got like 4 or 6 floodlights.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, something like that, our guys could absolutely do it. The only thing would be the noise, because it is gas powered machines that are running. So, I mean, they start their night shift 8 o'clock usually, somewhere around that time. So, I don't know how people would feel about that that live near there.
You got some
I do.
players over there.
Yeah, you got some people pretty close there.
Yeah.
So that would be the one drawback.
Yeah.
All right.
And your lead time right now, Jamie, is still
What time
1
of
to 2
year do
weeks.
you
1 to 2 weeks.
treat the lake when the lake's closed? Is that normally up in the fall?
We don't close.
We haven't closed the lake for 2 years now.
Okay, so, are you, you're still going here? Or
No, I'm
finished?
I think, unless anyone's got questions.
So I can revise this any way you guys want to.
What's the feasibility? I'm asking this question for everybody. What's the feasibility of closing the lot for one day?
Like marina closed everywhere,
Like no boat registration?
no boat, anything.
Like, no, nothing,
No,
Like
nothing.
block off the whole deal for
for
I
one, for
understand.
24 hours.
I understand, I'm just clarifying.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's very slow. Starts picking up on Thursday.
I'm just saying, if we gave people 3 weeks notice or something, 2 weeks notice, hey, this is the day the lot is being striped, it's closed, sorry about the lot.
If somebody has as an alternative, if people have their boat stickers, we can maybe let them launch right over here.
An emergency thing. That's your fault.
For that one day?
Yeah.
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 But they could park anywhere.
They could pull up here. and go.
Yeah, they could launch it, pull up here.
Can we do boat stickers over here?
I wouldn't think we would need to necessarily, I mean, because if it's just for one day, why move the whole system where
Well, I'm just
you
saying,
wouldn't need it?
they're counting on their hours to get paid for it.
We only did 3 boat stickers today.
Every time I mention it, it must be a big deal, and I get that, like moving the boat stickers from Marina,
It's just,
See?
everything's in the
That's
system.
We got a system over there.
One more thought too. Possibly, and I'd have to get this okay through my operations department. We might be able to do the bumpers in one day. That might potentially, if they come in and be moving them while the guys are blacking out and striping, and then resetting them right away. And if they're here, and if they're okay having the guys stay out here for a whole day, just moving bumpers as they go and doing it, that would be another option, possibly.
So what would that reduce the?
That would reduce that second trip charge to $300 right there.
And everything could be done in one day, you're saying?
Possibly.
Everything?
We could use Judge Hick's parking
So I mean, so the way we kind of look at our business is we can do approximately $3,000 of work in one day. So if we look at the striping, we can do all that striping in one day, no problem. We look at the bumpers and the signs, we're really right around $3,000 if you take away that 3-second trip charge.
But the bumpers don't really affect, you could put bumpers in if there was a car there, potentially you could just come around from the other side.
As long as the car's not pulled up too far where you can't get to it. You want to be about 24 to 36 inches off the edge of the.
Yeah.
If we just
So
close
it's
it one day.
possible to do the whole thing in one day, maybe there's a couple incidentals that
Yeah,
you didn't get to, so that if we close the marina parking lot for one day, you could possibly do this all in one day,
Possibly. I can find that out tomorrow.
okay?
That'd be good.
I think that's the way to do it. I don't think
Yeah.
that there's any other
No.
vehicle.
We bumper spots the day before, they're gonna pull the bumpers, that way no one is parked on the bumper.
Well, there shouldn't be anybody on it anyway.
Marina's not gonna be there, Marina's not gonna be open.
No, but they're gonna pull the bumpers on a different day, right?
No,
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Why
all
do
the
it
same
one
day.
day?
All the same day.
No,
Just
you're
that, okay.
Okay, so let's just assume, at this point, we're gonna do this all in one day. You're 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out?
Well, from the point of you saying, yes, this is approved, we're probably 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. It is
Middle of the night.
April 12th, yeah, it is. April 12th. And then you know what, the neat thing about it is, we're not gonna let you add anything to this meeting. Okay, April 12th, so,
A Monday would probably be your best day.
yeah,
Can you confirm that for us?
and we have, our goal here is to get everything done by Memorial Day weekend. The next meeting would be May 10th. So if I was gonna make a motion, if this was my project, I'd make a motion to not exceed what the thing was, and I'd also make a motion to eliminate the second vote. That's what I would do if I was making.
We need to get it done as soon as possible.
Absolutely. You never know.
In the interest of safety for the people coming from
Yeah,
right now.
now, keep in mind, board members, this is the minimum we're doing. There's gonna be a lot of discussion on that parking lot the next 5 years. Right now, we're trying to get an idea of what might work. We've used a lot of time here to try and figure out what might work. If it doesn't work, we're gonna have to change something. And we're gonna have the time between now and the time that we're gonna spend a lot of money on that parking lot down the road. But we want that time, and this is a good time to have it during the busy season.
And only have one vote, definitely get it done before that restaurant opens up.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to, I think it has to be, if we're gonna do it this year, it has to be done before the restaurant opens, because you can't reconfigure traffic after.
It's gotta be done before.
We can't have
May.
kids walking across.
And also,
the-
like, if he can work his
Right.
magic and get this all knocked out in a day,
Right.
that's almost a no-brainer.
Because if we meet on the 10th and he's on a 2-week schedule, it won't be done until a week after the restaurant opens.
Okay, Tom, you have a question?
Just two. Where do we think the money's gonna come from?
Ken, it's your ballpark.
Building and grounds repair. We've
Building and
current-
grounds repair?
Yeah, we've got 35,000 budget for that line, we've so far year to date spent $3,531.
So we haven't spent anything yet? So right now, the fund stands at 35,000 and we haven't spent anything,
We got about 32,000.
32,000 left. And the other question, I even hate to throw it out, but, did we happen to ask the lake committee / ask club what they might think of this layout?
No.
We did bring some boat trailers down there and do some preliminary driving around though when we were down there with autos. Like we did some test driving with cones and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit like, Summer, I couldn't drive a boat trailer.
Rick, can you hear me?
Unmute yourself, Rick.
Rick, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you've been around a long time, and you've spent a lot of time in that marina, old and new, and you know a lot of people that are out here for years. What is your evaluation of the scope that we're talking about?
I think it needs to be done, number one, and I think the plan looks very good, the way it's set up. The sooner the better to close it. If you're gonna close it for one day, the sooner the better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will also say that my husband looked at this, he's a landscape architect, he designs parking lots, AJ's worked on parking lots. We got autos who, I mean, that they do more striping than anybody in the state. Jamie also lives here. John Reedy used his background to work on this, so it's not gonna be perfect for anybody because there's a lot going on there, but it's gonna be safer.
Well, luckily paint is temporary.
Okay, at this time, I'll take two motions. The first motion to eliminate.
Motion.
Okay, the first motion, those of you who are taking notes and recording, is that we eliminate the need for 2 votes. It has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Second motion.
Second motion is.
Eliminate the vote.
No, we already did that.
That's what we just voted on.
So we're just doing it.
I make a motion, we proceed with the project for no more than $6,092 with the contingency that we can get this done in a day with the approval of your owner.
I'll find that out tomorrow.
Tom?
Does anybody feel it's important to fill up the holes? I mean, you know, with water, frost.
I'll work on that.
Okay,
You mean
so
the bumper holes?
where it pulls out the rocks.
That's the
We've
bumper
just been
holes.
told that he's gonna work some magic on that. Thank you, Tom.
Thank
Did I
you.
hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Good choice, board.
John, what was
Okay.
your number? John?
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely, no
Hey,
problem.
you get back to us tomorrow?
Yeah, I will absolutely.
You can understand the immediacy level here?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna have a date.
You mean the amount?
Never.
He's gonna let us know, and then we're gonna pick a date.
Okay.
And, Ken will pick the date.
Thanks, Jamie.
Jamie,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks.
So the board knows, once we know if they can do this in one day, the operations manager will take it from there. Okay, fishing tournament. Ooh, this is a long one.
Yeah, this will go quick. As I brought up in the, and I think this is just take a one vote, the fishing tournament was brought up to you guys at the ops meeting. The lake committee looked these over, they approved them. The board approved everything that was in yellow, during the last board meeting. So you guys just need to approve.
Make a motion to accept the tournament as printed for all dates for the rest of the year.
Second.
That.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Lake treatment.
The lake treatment, this will be another quick one. These are the dates that I shared with you guys during the, ops meeting. These will be roughly over 2 weeks. You'll see where, one thing I failed to mention during the last was you'll see that where they already set up the weed treatment. The open dates, they usually call me ahead of time where they'll assess what they're seeing in the water before they determine what they treat it for. So, but anyway, that's we've already paid for it for the treatment. It's a 3-year contract. We budgeted $105,000, and our three-year contract is $99,950.
I'll take a motion.
Motion.
For what?
For the weed treatment.
The weed treatment.
Oh, we did, with the weed treatment dates.
Dates.
Approve the date.
Oh, for the date, okay.
So
Sorry.
John made the motion and
Second.
Tom made the second.
All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Unanimous? Yay, moving right along. Okay, 50th Heritage Lake Anniversary, as I discussed, there's a little committee working right now. The members of that committee are the Muhlenbein, Debbie and Jim. The Who else is on that committee, Nina?
Mary Petruzzi and Rick Miller.
Okay, and Nina is a representative from the board.
Yes, you want me to proceed?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, this subcommittee met to discuss the 50th Heritage Lake Anniversary event as they coordinate with the summer, and also to coordinate with a grand opening marina restaurant event. SOMS has indicated they want to be involved in any activity at the lake that involves food, rallying the community. This subcommittee has suggested the installation of a 4x4 permanent metal sign. It would be over by the spillway dam, viewable from the restaurant, marina, and upper level, as well as viewable from the lake, possibly involving some lighting with the sign as well. And then also they have created a 50th anniversary flag, logo flag, and they would be looking to raise those flags up the flagpoles when the other flags are not present or above or below, and for the duration of the summer, from my understanding. And I think that is all that was discussed that affects the board directly. There were a couple other items that are being taken to the lake committee and will be discussed at our meetings in the future.
Before anybody comes up with a question, this committee has suggested that they will go out and try and find the money before they ever come to the board for the money. So.
Yes.
Just, I missed that, what did you say about the flags?
They designed a 50th anniversary logo flag that they would like to get printed and placed on the 4 flagpoles that are used for lake closing.
Just for this year?
Just for the summer. They would fly throughout the summer when feasible.
Thank you. Marina restaurant update. The biggest piece of equipment is installed. There's several others half installed. They're coming back Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week to try and get some of the others installed. The installations are all just underway. That's all I can tell you. He's got an installation crew. Everything that's happening with his crew right now is part of his ball. And the name of the restaurant is probably going to be decided as we are having this meeting. He's having his final meeting with his people. It is something that they take very seriously because they look at putting a name on a building for 25 years. So they want to do it right for them. I don't even want to bore you with all of the thoughts that go into that, but that's the marina update. May 20th is still the date. There is a very good possibility at this point, the weekend of the 8th of May and the weekend of the 15th of May, both Saturday and Sunday, weather permitting, there will be SOMS wares for sale outside the marina. That meaning food and drinks outside the marina and outside the restaurant to let everybody come and try their wares because there will be no more trucks. And he's going to sell his food those 2 weekends to let everybody get a taste.
The weekend of the 8th and the 15th.
That's correct, of May. Saturday and Sunday, weather permitting. So he's not gonna put up a tent. Okay. COVID future meeting attendance. That's me again. I don't know if you guys have any ideas about this. My idea right now is let's go back to having meetings. And if you trust Ken and I, we'll talk about how we're going to set it up. The last time that we were kind of near COVID, we only allowed 25 people in. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. I mean, I think if we open it up, maybe we'll have a meeting downstairs. Is that possible, Rick, with all of our equipment? I think we might have the first one downstairs, see who shows. We may have a surprising number of people. This way we can move them out. and get as many people in as possible. If anybody else has any other suggestions, Ken and I will work that out. You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we'll work it out, and we'll send out a notice that the next board meeting will be open.
Come on down.
Open forum, are we gonna discuss anything?
No, I've actually just asked all the questions that people asked along the way, so. it
Okay,
was-
just for the record, we received a open forum question from one of our members. It's very, very lengthy. Came in at 5:30, from what I understand, is that correct?
5:30.
It was sent to the board members. We'll address that in the future. I don't wanna,
5:33 p.m.
okay. I'll take a motion.
Well,
To adjourn.
Hold on, wait.
I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, was there any update on the signing of the lease?
Oh, good point. I forgot all about that. I was told, I saw the text last week in front of my eyes that said, from the guy who signs the, works on the leases, to Exxon, I will get with, Scott by the beginning of the week. That's today or tomorrow, in my estimate. That's where we are. But, and I think that'll move very quickly once they get their heads together.
Did you say the board would be able to review what the final lease is? No?
I will send out the final lease to the board. I think the final lease, under my impression, will be Ken's decision. He's the lake manager, but I want the board to see it. I want you to see everything on the lease. We've seen the old lease, the original, that is. If it's not very close to that, I'll be very surprised. But yes, the board will see the lease.
And the lawyers have seen it.
Yes.
So he's gone through the benefits.
Is our insurance agency the lease?
No?
I would think he would want to.
I'll take that advice. Anything else?
Regarding the Marine Dick Porter, 183 JB, Marina gas dispenser, was there any discussion about, after hours use, when Marina closes?
Will be none. There will be none?
None, it's not possible.
No.
You have to have legal, you have to have an attendant for
Oh.
on water, so that if somebody spills, it has to be attended.
That makes sense, makes me wonder why Lake Lemon has one available.
They're probably running,
Okay.
I wouldn't say that on camera.
That's a bad idea.
In the back.
It's a bad, I worked a gas dock in high school and college, we actually had to pump the gas. We couldn't even hand the nozzle to the people on the boat. The attendant actually had to pump up the gas, that was in the state of Maine, so.
Bill?
Hold up, please.
5 seconds. Recommendation that we post a reduced speed limit in the parking lot with the new traffic pattern and all the things going on. All right, people come in.
Please.
3 miles.
Well, the campground is 6, is that correct, Ken? You know?
I think it says 5.
I think you're right, I think it's 5, and I idle my Prius at 7. And I'm always like, break, sorry, I'm speeding. But, so I don't know what you want to set it to.
It's a level 1.
I've
I'm
seen
thinking if
some.
I can't.
Thirty days out of the campground.
I'm thinking if I can't idle.
Anybody else, I'll take a motion.
One other thing I want to confirm, the parking lot at the marina is not expanding in area size, it's just being redistributed.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Here, do you want to see the
I
drawing?
just wanted to make sure.
Eventually, there's some things that will have to be done,
Right.
but this is
I
just
understand.
to get it stated where people can.
All right, at
That's
this
pretty
time,
close.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Rick, are you opposed?
Delayed.
Just lagging.
Shut you off, Rick.
He's on delay.
Like and subscribe, hit the bell.
Thank you all.
That stuff.
Everything executive or no?
How do I stop?